We have a great topic. We're discussing the real reason that God is trapping souls on earth as we continue to explore a banned book called On the Origin of the World that was forbidden by the church, declared as heretical, that describes the creation story prior to what happens in the Bible and reveals that God is not what he says he is, and that we as humanity are much more than we are told. Now, this is going to be very interesting, and like I said, we're reading On the Origin of the World. We're probably going to touch on a couple of other secret books as well, like the Secret Book of John and the Reality of the Rulers, and it's going to be good. We're going to be diving into this and really seeing why this was thought of as heretical and what it has to do with us. Let us begin. On the Origin of the World. So we're going to bring this up right away. And like I remember, these were discovered in 1945 near the tombs of Egypt. And you can read all of these for free, by the way, on gnosis.org. Great website. Highly recommend it. Check it out. You can read it for free. And well, we're starting out here with the creation of humankind, because remember, we're talking about God trapping souls on earth. Now, all right. So let's just dive right into this, because On the Origin of the World is a very strange book. Even as Gnosticism goes, it's a little odd, but we're going to be taking a look at a lot of these different texts and seeing how they all are telling a very similar story. So it's and the reason why this is important is because ultimately it has to do with our eternal nature and what we are, where we are, why we're here, that sort of thing. So it says, before Adam of light withdrew in the chaos, the authorities saw him. So before we even go any further than that, if you are new, if you haven't seen the other parts of this, that's fine. But here's what's going on. So essentially, the God of the Bible and his angels are evil beings known as archons or rulers or the authorities. And the head archon, the chief ruler, which is the God of the Bible, the God of Christianity, is known as Yaldabaoth. And he is, of course, an evil being. Now, above these evil beings is the perfect realm of light. These evil beings are sort of the shadow, the dark thoughts. But there's a perfect realm of light filled with beings called eons that are powerful beings that reside in the realm of light rather than the realm of darkness, which is associated with the rulers and where Earth resides. Earth resides in this realm and is called like the footstool of Yaldabaoth. It's in this dark realm. That's where Earth resides. Now, when it says the atom of light, so here's the thing. Atom of light, we're not even talking about bodies at this point. This is a spiritual entity. So this is a human, but it is a spiritual human. This is a human of divine light. So you have this being called Atom of Light, who is a being of light and is a spiritual human, and doesn't have a body, nothing like that, but is extremely powerful and is actually creating his own heavens and his own worlds. And these heavens and worlds that this spiritual human is creating is better than the worlds and heavens that Yaldabaoth and his archons have created. So this is what it says, where it says, before Atom of Light withdrew in the chaos, the authorities saw him. So basically what happened was this being of light walked on Earth for a little while, humanity, and this is the realm of chaos. Earth exists in the realm of chaos, and then withdrew again back to the realm of light. He couldn't go all the way back to the highest realms of light because he had some impurities from being on Earth. But then this is why he started creating his own worlds and his own heavens, etc., which were better than the authorities, the rulers of Earth. And so while the spiritual being, the spiritual human, Atom of Light, was on Earth or in the chaos, the rulers saw him before he left. They saw him. And the authorities, who would, if we're talking about the Bible, they would be like the angels, but they're demonic evil beings. So they laughed at the chief creator because he lied, saying, I am God and there is no other God but me. When they came to him, they said, is this not the God who ruined our work? So this is a very interesting passage. Really cool. So see what's going on here? Because God in the Bible is constantly saying, if you read the Bible, God goes, I am the only God. There is no other God but me. I am a jealous God. Thou shalt have no other gods but me, etc. Constantly saying this, I am the only God. Worship me. No one else. Just me, 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 me. That's all. This is in the Bible. And what these Gnostic books say, by the way, if you're unfamiliar, Gnosticism is a branch or sect, heretical sect of Christianity, of early Christianity, that basically saw the God of the Old Testament, or what would become the Old Testament, as an evil being. And they have a number of points, and they go, hey, look, and it's in which one is it? It's on the Testimony of Truth, which is another really great Gnostic text that I have playlists on all these, by the way. If you want to hear my interpretation of all these texts, I have playlists on so many of them. One of them is the Testimony of Truth, and they basically says like, hey, is it the Testimony of Truth that says this? I can't quite remember. I think it is. Maybe it's another one, but essentially the point is saying, like, if God, why would God be a jealous God if there are no other gods? And this being is clearly evil because it's, basically like torturing humanity, flooding doing all these terrible things. So anyway, I digress a little bit, but here's the thing. The angels, or the demons, or the authorities, laugh at God, the chief creator, because he lied. And they go up to him and confronting him, because they go, oh yeah, you said you were the only God. You said, I am God and there is no other God but me. And they said to him, is this not the God who ruined our work? So see, humans are gods. Humans, as spiritual beings, are gods. Not only are they gods, but they are more powerful than the God of the Bible. They are eternal beings of light, not beings of darkness and chaos. And the angels are laughing at the chief god of chaos, going, hey, you said you were the only God. Look at this God. Is this not the God who ruined our work? So you can imagine Yaldabaoth's probably not very happy about this. And he answered and said, yes. Yeah. He answered and said, yes, but if you wish that he not be able to ruin our work, come, let's create a human being from the earth according to the image of our body and according to the likeness of this being, to serve us, so that whenever this being sees his likeness, he may become enamored of it. Then he will no longer ruin our work, but we shall make those who are born from the light our servants through all the time of this age. So what their plan is that they're going to create a human being from the earth according to the image of their body. Now, if you remember, in the Bible, it says, let's create a human according to our image. Now, remember, that's another big, that I've talked about this before. If you read in the Bible, they say our image, we, and us a lot. And this is a big problem for monotheistic Christianity that says there is only one God when you've got a lot of we's and us's and ours in the creation. And this is, of course, because Christianity, or even Judaism, is based on a much older religion, the Canaanite religion, and there were multiple gods. There was El Shaddai, El Elyon, Baal, a lot. My memory is a little fuzzy, but there were Asherah, multiple gods, and it wasn't until later that the Canaanite religion sort of translated. The religion morphed. In the beginning, it was a polytheism. There were multiple gods. Then it became a henotheism, which means there were multiple gods, but one was the most powerful. That's when Yahweh came onto the scene, which was a war god. and started to be seen as the most powerful. Then it morphed into a monotheism. So first it was a polytheism, then Yahweh came onto the scene and sort of became the most powerful God, and then all gods were phased out. It became a monotheism, and Yahweh would be considered the only God. But anyway, getting a little off track, but going back to this, Yaldabaoth, the chief ruler god, says, let's create a human from our image, from the earth, according to our body. And so they're creating a earthly human body, and it says, then he will no longer ruin our work, but we shall make those who are born from the light our servants through all the times of this age. So you can see that clearly what's happening here is that this God is jealous of the power that human beings have as spiritual beings. And so they are creating bodies to trap beings of light to be their servants. So they're creating these traps so that beings of light will be their servants. And this theme is everywhere in the Gnostic texts. I read last time in the Secret Book of John, in the Secret Book of John, it says, Adam was brought forth into the shadow of death. They intended to make him anew from earth and water, fire and wind, which are matter and darkness desire. They all became a tomb, a new kind of bodies. Those thieves bound the man in it, enchained him in forgetfulness, made him subject to dying. So this one, it's slightly different, but the theme is still the same. So you have Yaldabaoth and his demons creating a body, trapping the Adam in this body, made him subject to forgetting and subject to dying, decaying, so that it wouldn't remember what it was, and that it wasn't actually a being of light. So we have a very similar thing happening right now On the Origin of the World. So again, so that they want to make all those who are born from light our servants through all the time of this age. Now all this came to pass according to the forethought of Pistis, in order that humankind might appear after this likeness and condemn them on account of their fashioned bodies. And their fashioned bodies became fences for the light. So see, in the Secret Book of John, it describes the body as a tomb. On the Origin of the World, they describe it as a fence. The bodies are like fences for the light. Let's continue this. It says, then the authorities received knowledge necessary to create people. Sophia Zoe, who was with Sabaoth. So Sophia Zoe represents life. And and then Sabaoth is a being that, so this is very interesting. On the Origin of the World, very interesting book. So you have Sophia Zoe, who represents life, and Yaldabaoth earlier actually created death in anger, because one of his sons or offspring, known as Sabaoth, was not a fan of Yaldabaoth and what he was doing in his realm of chaos, and rebelled against Sabaoth. Sabaoth rebelled against Yaldabaoth and had sort of a war in heaven and joined the realm of light. And you see there's some similarities, to the story of Lucifer, who rebelled against God with angels and had an association with light. Sabaoth is one who rebels against that God, joins the realm of light, and has a war in heaven. So you have Sophia Zoe, who is with Sabaoth. So these are now, Sophia Zoe represents life. She's a being of light. Sabaoth, interestingly, was the offspring of Yaldabaoth, but he joined the realm of light. These are very interesting, cool stories, aren't they? I really, really enjoy them. Very, very cool, very interesting. So you have now Sophia Zoe and Sabaoth, who are watching. Zoe is life, Zoe or Zoe, however you want to say it. Zoe or Zoe, they are life with Sabaoth, and they're watching what Yaldabaoth. And remember, Yaldabaoth is the creator god, the god of the Bible, with his demons and archons and angels, and they're seeing them create people, bodies. And so they laughed at their decision because they were blind. In ignorance, they created him against themselves. They do not know what they do. Because of this, she anticipated them. She created her human being first in order that he might tell their fashioned body how to scorn them and thus how to escape them. Now, this is interesting. So it's never said directly who this is, but it has it's the well, let's go. You're going to see very, very Christ-like similarities. So let's read this first, and you'll see what's going on here. It says, now the birth of the instructor occurred in this way. So remember, what Sophia Zoe is doing, life, as she watches Yaldabaoth create all these bodies, she goes, okay, well, she's going to create her own human first so that human can tell the fashioned bodies, the material bodies, how to scorn them and escape from them. So basically, how to liberate the beings of light from their bodies. How to escape. So now the birth of the instructor occurred in this way. When Sophia let a drop of light fall, it floated on the water. Immediately a human being appeared, being androgynous. She molded that drop first as a female body. Afterward, she molded it with the body in the likeness of the mother who appeared, and she finished it in 12 months. An androgynous human being was conceived, who the Greeks call hermaphrodite, while the Jews call his mother Eve of life, that is, the instructor of life. Her child is the creature who is Lord. Afterwards, the authorities called it the beast in order to lead their fashioned bodies astray. The meaning of the beast is the instructor, for it was found to be wiser than all beings. Moreover, Eve is the first virgin who gave birth without a man. She is the one who functioned as her own midwife. So this is very, very interesting here. You kind of have a lot going on. You have this instructor being created. Remember, on the origin of the world, it's very strange, even for Gnosticism. But you have this instructor being created so that he can, or they can, thwart Yaldabaoth's plan, Yaldabaoth's idea to trap beings of light. So Zoe is creating this instructor so that they will be able to liberate these bodies by giving them information to be able to liberate themselves. But what does it say? It says what the instructors are going to do is call it the beast in order to lead their fashioned bodies astray. So, and don't you see this all the time in the Bible? Or just in Christianity, whenever you have an individual or being or an archetype that is one of liberation and light and learning and love and understanding, it's that's the beast, that's the Antichrist, that's the serpent, that's Lucifer is Satan. You have all these attacks being put forward. You have Lucifer, the light bearer, who brought knowledge to humanity, condemned as Satan. The serpent, condemned as Satan. Christ, message twisted and inverted. And you see this continuous theme again and again and again within Christianity, and basically this is what the book is saying is that the chief ruler, Yaldabaoth, will be calling the instructor the beast to lead the people astray so that they won't listen. And then it says, on account of this, it is said concerning her that she said, and this is the Song of Eve, I am part of my mother, and I am the mother. I am the wife, I am the virgin. I am pregnant, I am the midwife. I am the one who comforts during labor pains. My husband produced me, I am his mother. And he is my father and my Lord. He is my potency. What he desires, he speaks with reason. I am becoming, but I have borne a lordly man. So, you have, sort of this dichotomy of both like, I am the wife, but I am the virgin, I am pregnant, I am the midwife. You have one that is, sort of all these within itself, very self-reliant in having these qualities within itself. Oh yes, that's another thing that I wanted to point out as well. I very much forgot. In a lot of Gnosticism, femininity is celebrated as powerful and liberating. And in Christianity, so for example, in Gnosticism, Eve is often celebrated for having eaten the apple, and in some stories, Eve's higher self is literally the serpent. And it's not in a negative way, it's in a positive way, the one who liberated humanity. And of course, in the Bible, the serpent is condemned and Eve is condemned as well. And if you even go into the New Testament, it said that women aren't allowed to speak in church. Women can't have authority over men. Men have to submit to their husbands in everything. And why? Because it was Eve who sinned first and ate the apple, but that they can be forgiven of this in bearing children. So very, very sexist. And you see how Christianity is very nefarious in making anything to do with knowledge and understanding and liberation seem evil and wrong. And it's a very nefarious system. I grew up in a strict Christian household. For those who don't know, I have RTS, or religious trauma syndrome. It's a very nefarious thought system that limits your mind and makes anything that could possibly free your mind as being evil, the beast, off limits. Now these things were revealed by the will of Sabaoth and his Christ to the souls who will come to the fashioned bodies of the authorities. Concerning these, the holy voice said, multiply and flourish to rule over all the creatures. And these are the ones who are taken captive by the chief creator according to their destinies, and thus they were locked in the prisons of the fashioned bodies into the consummation of the age. Let's see. It says, at that time, the chief creator then expressed his opinion about humankind to those who were with him. Then each of them cast his seed. If you know what that means, into the midst of the navel of the earth. It's gross. It's pretty gross. Angels need to chill. They blew their load all into the earth. Since that day, the seven rulers have formed humankind with his body like their body, but his likeness is like the human who appeared to them. His fashioned body came into being one part at a time, and their chief created the brain and nervous system. So anyway, it's they're coming in the earth, creating bodies, creating prisons, creating fences for the soul. Afterward, the person appeared like the one before him. He became a person with soul, and he was called Adam, that is, father, after the name of the one who was before him. So now you actually have Adam, as in an Adam that is described in the Bible, with a physical body, a fashioned body that has a soul but is trapped. Now, after Adam was made, he left him as a lifeless vessel, since he had taken form like an aborted fetus, with no spirit in him. Regarding this, when the chief ruler remembered the words of Pistis, he was afraid that the true human might come into his fashioned body and rule over it. Because of this, he left the fashioned body 40 days without soul, and he withdrew and left him. So again, on the origin of the world is a strange one. The other stories, like the Secret Book of John, are a lot more straightforward. It's like, hey, we're going to create this body, we're going to create this tomb. And in the Secret Book of John, what ends up happening is that Yaldabaoth actually has the power of light. So in the Secret Book of John, Yaldabaoth is called the dim ruler, or the shadow ruler, because he's like a mix of shadow and light. He has light from his mother, but he's a being of darkness. And so in the Secret Book of John, Adam, again, the bodied Adam, the fashioned Adam, doesn't have a soul, and so Yaldabaoth breathes. I don't want to be breathing into the microphone. Sorry if that was loud. Breathes life into Adam by giving him some of his power, some of his light for the body. But that's not it's different in this one. On the origin of the world, it says, but on the 40th day, Sophia Zoe sent her breath into Adam. So a little bit different. It's not Yaldabaoth, but rather Sophia Zoe. It all kinds of ends up being the same thing, though, because Yaldabaoth got his light from Sophia. Sophia is Yaldabaoth's mother. So one way or another, Adam receives soul from the light of Yaldabaoth, which came from Sophia, or directly from Sophia Zoe, as on the origin of the world. So, but on the 40th day, Sophia Zoe sent her breath into Adam, who was without soul. He began to move upon the earth, but he couldn't stand up. Now, when the 7 rulers came and saw him, they were very much disturbed. They walked up to him and seized him, and the chief ruler said to the breath within him, "Who are you? And from where have you come?" It answered and said, "I came through the power of the human for the destruction of your work." Now, interesting. So listen. This is weird. When they heard, they glorified him because he gave them rest from their fear and concern. Then they called that day the day of rest because they rested themselves from their troubles. And when they saw that Adam could not stand up, they rejoiced. They took him and left him in paradise and withdrew up to their heavens. Okay, so here is what I am, what I think is the interpretation of this. So you have this lifeless body, you have Adam. Sophia Zoe, they basically, the rulers are afraid that the Adam of light, the spiritual Adam, is going to sort of come into this body. It says he was afraid that the true human might come into his fashioned body and rule over it. So they were afraid of that. And so they left it there, sort of lifeless. But then Sophia Zoe comes over and breathes life into Adam. And so then he begins to move, but he couldn't stand up. Then the 7 rulers came along and were like, "Whoa, what's going on here? Our body is animated now. Who is this? What being is this that has, taken this form?" And they said, "Who are you? Why have you, and from where have you come?" And it said, "I came through the power of the human for the destruction of your work." And it says, for when they heard, they glorified him because he gave them rest from their fear and concern. So this might seem a little strange at first, because it might be like, well, wait a minute, why are they glorifying him, and why are they feeling rest from their fear and concern if it just said, "I basically came here for the destruction of your work"? Well, in my opinion, it's because it seems like they're rejoicing because they're thinking that they have restrained this being, because it says, when they saw that Adam could not stand up, they rejoiced. Basically, it seems like that they're like, okay, this being, or part of this being, or a power of this being, or some kind has entered this body, but it can't even stand up. Like, we don't have to be fearful. We don't have to be concerned that this being is going to destroy our work anymore. Look, it can't even stand up. So when they saw that it couldn't stand up, they rejoiced. They took him and left him in paradise and withdrew up to their heavens. So this is, again, they leave him in the Garden of Eden. They go, aha, you can't do much. You can't even stand up. Go to your paradise. Go to your room. And we're going to go to our heavens and chill out because we're tired because we just came all over the earth. That is essentially what is occurring here. So you have this idea of humanity being divine. Now, where this divinity comes from depends on what you're reading, but ultimately, we are beings of light, not beings of darkness, according to Gnosticism. We are beings of light, not beings of darkness, and we are trapped in bodies that are modeled after darkness and made from earth and chaos. So it is our bodies that are trapping us as divine beings, and God's intention is to keep humanity from becoming more powerful than him. And this theme is in the Secret Book of John. It gets into so much detail about how all these different things that Yaldabaoth does to keep this human from remembering, splitting it into two beings, and the flood is involved. All this stuff is occurring. But basically, you have Sophia Zoe, who is intending to have a human who is going to be one who liberates the other humans by giving them information so that they can know what they are. And as you see, this is completely different from Christianity, because you can see obviously that that's the Christ figure. In Christianity, it's not about knowledge, it's not about knowing, it's not about any of that. It's about faith and worship. You have to have faith in Jesus and worship Jesus. You're not as good as Jesus. You're less than Jesus. You're broken and dirtied and flawed. You have to be submissive to Jesus and God, Yahweh, which would be Yaldabaoth. But of course, this in Gnosticism, it's completely different. Christ, or the Christ figure, or the instructor, the Savior archetype, is to give one the knowledge to be able to realize what one is, so that one can break free from these bodies and realize that one is more powerful than God, and that we are gods in our own right.